Welcome to ED 5010. I'm instructor Dennis Lawrence, and each week I will provide an overview like this to kind of give you an idea of what we'll be doing during each unit. Now when you begin, always the best thing is to look at home and look at announcements, because like I say, I'll always have an announcement in here each week. But the first thing I would suggest you do is go to the syllabus, download the syllabus, and have it handy. It just gives you an idea of everything that you're going to do in the course. For example, it tells you how you're going to be graded on what activities, and you can see right away that you are going to have assignments, unit activities or assignments in 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So every other unit. You're also going to have discussions in each unit as well. So this gives you an overview of that and the required materials and the required library sources. So don't get overwhelmed by this. These are not required like you need to read all of these right now. But during the course, you will be looking at these different resources. So you'll learn how to go through those and prioritize what should be read, and it will be discussed in each unit for that. So the syllabus is a good place to begin. Secondly, then, if you go to the unit, and we'll go to Unit 1, which is where we're beginning, always begin, and there's an introduction. And then there are learning activities or studies. So you'll see studies in a course. You will see discussions in a course, and you will see assignments in a course if there's an assignment. Now there is no assignment in the first unit, so there's no assignment. But studies, those are things prepare you. Discussions, you enter into conversation with your fellow students. Assignments, those are turned into me. So in the first unit, there is a discussion. There are two discussions actually, several studies, but no assignment due. But you are preparing for assignments. Now, there's a weekly planner and reflection journal. And you click on this, that will show you exactly how to do that. That's for your own self-reflection and to keep you on track. How do you plan? How do you make sure you have time? Time management is such an important part of this course, of this program. The planner and the journal, reflection journal, something you do on your own, you do not turn in, but I urge you to take a look at that. It would be very, very helpful. Now, the toolbox, again, is something that you will keep to yourself, that you will not share with me or others, but it does allow you to develop a toolbox of activities and skills. For example, there are online discussion groups from Capella. Welcome New Learners is a great discussion board. Smart Thinking is a tool that you can submit your assignments and get feedback on the writing. And then the resource box, toolbox activity tells you exactly how to approach that. Unit 1, Study 3. So this is the third study. It talks about what habits of minds are and how those might apply to your thinking and perspectives as teaching. Now, specialization-specific resource is a very important area to look at. Some of you are not in the classroom. Some of you are. Some of you are in adult education. Some of you in curriculum instruction, ELL. But some of you may be in instructional design. And some of you may be in the training and performance, so you're not in the classroom per se, but everything in this course applies to all of us. We're all educators, whether standing in front of a classroom, working from a keyboard at a distance, or behind the scenes with instructional design. We are all educators here. So the important thing about this page is it gives you very specific articles and resources that you can build on. I'll give you an example of that. Suppose you find this article very valuable. You click on it, it's a very valuable article, and say, boy, I really want to see that. Click on the full text. It comes up. I can download it. I can print it. Careful on that printer ink, though. But you can download it. You can mark it. And then you get to the end of the article, and here's where it really might be of value to you. This was an article, pretending that this is an article that you found that's really valuable. It's a very long one, too. Then you go to the references page, and you look at these, and you look for one that you think may be like this. So going through the references, suppose you look at Drucker. Peter Drucker, I've heard of him. Why Management Consultants? And you see that you can go to here and find that. So you track that down. That's how you build your resources, by looking at the references of a resource you found that's of value. That's a good trick, or a good strategy that you can use throughout the program, and you can begin to practice this in this program. So again, the specialization specific resources is a great link to become familiar with. Now in this first unit, it talks about discussion and assignment, and I might say this, Discussions will always tell you how many responses you make to other students in the discussion. The first response to the prompt should be made by Thursday. The final response to another student by Sunday. So I will grade those each week, Thursday to Sunday. Now, later on, and don't let this overwhelm you, in Unit 8, you are going to make a short presentation by Kaltura. Now, you may not be familiar with that, but here's a real easy way to set that up. This could be something the first week you make a note in your planner. Next week, I'm going to look at Kaltura Media because I've got a lot going on this week. This is not due until Unit 8. I'll wait until Unit 2 to do it, but you make a note to make sure you do. The ePortfolio is something else you may not set up the first week. It's not something you'll turn in here, but it's something you want to set up. So those two studies, you might say, I've got so much going on the first week. I've made a note to look at these and there. So here's the first discussion. Where are you headed? And it's just kind of asking all of you. It's always an interesting discussion. Where are you headed? And it tells you exactly what you do in this discussion. Now, it refers to the self-assessment you did as part of this university preparation study. Now, this is a good dynamic too. So let's go back to that preparation study. Next week, you have due your first assignment. But you don't have anything due this week in the assignment, but you are asked to begin to look at the assignment. So, Unit 1, Study 4. To prepare for the Unit 2 Self-Assessment of Knowledge and Skills assignment. That's not due until next week. But to prepare for it, complete the self-assessment portion of the self-assessment and proposal template. So you pick that up and look at that. And when you look at that, it says you are going to complete for this week the self-assessment portion right here. Next week, you'll finish it all up with this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this next week. And then you have this document where you self-assess at the beginning, and you can then assess again at the end of the course, see what progress you have made. So that's a study that you do, and then in Unit 1 discussion, you list several areas of strength. What evidence do you have these areas of strengths for you? So it tells you exactly what you should put in the discussion. And while you're doing this, you are also completing the first part of that self-assessment and preparing for the assignment due next week. So there's a good example of connecting a study, a discussion, and an assignment. You will often see in your Capella units, the studies are foundations for discussions, the discussions are foundations for assignments. There's a second discussion, a diversity and multiculturalism, and notice also that you only respond to one other person. Read the post, respond to at least one other learner. And the second one is the same way, respond to at least one other learner. This talks about diversity and multiculturalism, and those are a couple of strains that we will study throughout the course. You will consider diversity and multiculturalism. The course component competencies are create inclusive learning environments, incorporate multicultural perspectives. And again, it tells you exactly what you should do with this in your discussion. Now, here's an important paragraph here. What if I am not a classroom teacher? Your professional role, or the one that you're preparing for in your Capella program, may not involve classroom teaching. If that's the case, consider the more general concept of providing adaptive experiences for those students or clients for who you work. The KWL chart, and that's the self-assessment we just looked at, contains prompts that will help you to situate your professional specialization in the general framework of the discussion. Once again, we're all educators here. Some are classroom teachers, some are instructional designers, some are performance assessment, but all of us are educators. So we adapt each assignment to our needs. There's always a good place here to ask your instructor. If you have any questions, first course support is here. But this is an awful lot for the first unit. So as I say, take your time, go through everything, get those 2 discussions done this week. You have a great foundation. Let me know if I can help you in any way.